one that I wanted to talk about was Timo Weah again getting 90 minutes at right back for Lille.
Love
they
it.
lost
Love
1-0 to Angers. He lost 1-0 to Angers. Austin Trusty continued to get 90 minutes. Malik Tillman. I did want to talk about Malik Tillman because it was the old firm between Celtic and Rangers this weekend. Celtic won 3-2. Malik Tillman played 69 minutes. He played centrally, right underneath Alfredo Morelos for Rangers. And these are the games that we wanted to see him step up and make a difference, right? And I thought he was pretty quiet in this particular game. It was a great game, though. It was fun to watch. Joe Scally, 76 minutes, and Borussia Mönchengladbach got the start in their 2-0 win versus Wolfsburg. Good to see that. Chris Richards is hurt. He was out, not in the 18.
Balogun scored a penalty.
Balogun did score a penalty. He's crushing it. So I don't know. I don't know where you want to go with this. Maybe we should talk Leeds a little bit because I think that situation's getting a little sticky. We talked about Ricardo Pepi. And they lost 5-1 to Crystal Palace, by the way, Leeds. And Weston McKennie's on loan from Juve. What does this situation look like? I doubt he's going to want to stay with Leeds if they go down. Brenden Aaronson had an assist this weekend, but from what I've read from all the Leeds stuff, I think they're just in general, they're just frustrated and overall and want to see more from a player that they invested quite a bit of money into. And I think he's just trying too hard. He had that post World Cup stuff, and now I think he's in the trying too hard camp. And I feel for the guy, but you still have to go out there and produce. And it just maybe wasn't enough for what they paid. I don't know where you want to go, man. This is it's tough. We obviously have a lot of MLS results, and Yunus Musa came on as a substitute last 2 games. Valencia look on the verge of getting relegated. It's just.
I mean, Kevin Paredes.
Yeah, give me something positive. He came on as a sub for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
Zach Steffen lost 2-1 to Burnley. Burnley ended up qualifying or getting promoted now with that win. And Middlesbrough not too far off from getting promoted themselves as they fight. Oh, well, you know what? Let's go to Ethan Horvath. He got his 18th clean sheet, which ties him for the championship lead in Luton Town results. I think that's a positive.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where I always think about his situation.
It was kind of a slow weekend for Americans having success everywhere.
Yeah, well, he's an example of where I'm like, would Jesse Marsh like to go and coach Luton Town? Given the fact that they're really good this year, yeah, it's more attractive. But given the fact that they're,
I want to see Pep Guardiola coach Luton Town and see how he would do with those guys.
Exactly. Like there's a lot of teams in the championship that could have their year every year, right? But there's very few that are kind of primed and poised from a budget standpoint and a depth standpoint to actually know they're going to challenge, right?
Right.
Luton Town's one that. Maybe somebody who's a fan of Luton Town would say, hey, this has been a project that's been happening for a long time. We saw this coming and the success that they're having. But for me, I think more about, other clubs for Jesse Marsh than maybe a Luton Town is. But yeah, amazing for him to continue to have the success he's having.
Yeah. Haji Wright also scored in Turkey. And so there's that. It was a pretty slow week for guys hitting stats, right? Getting the stats on stats on stats. So we're a little slow in that capacity, but I want to take a trip down this rabbit hole a little bit, if you don't mind, Heath.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Timo Weah is getting so much action at that right back spot, what do you do with that? Because if you bring him back in, it's not to say he won't remember how to play, on the wing for us. But it's just different. You've been getting your reps in different ways. And I know that they made a sub recently in a game where he ended up pushing up. They went to like a 4-5-1, and he pushed up to the winger spot, and somebody else came in. It was a little more defensive-minded in that right back spot. And then they subbed him off from that wing spot. But I wonder what that means. I do, because I wonder if he's going to start to settle in and feel more comfortable in that spot. And maybe that's then where he wants to move going forward. And I'm always thinking, okay, are we in a position where we could play somewhat of a 3-4-2-1 or, whatever, maybe some kind of iteration of this formation. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, when I'm, how old's Timo Weah?
20. I'm going to guess 24.
Okay.
It might be too old. 23. Oh, it's close.
Yeah. Timothy. So 23. Okay. I meant to say 23 and I said Timothy. He's Timothy years old. If I said that mumbled, you would think I said it. No, I was 22, I believe, when I got to Germany, and I came in as a left back, and I spent most of the first Bundesliga season playing right or left midfield. And the reason I say that is because I thought that my tools as an attacker would be better as a defender, because I could defend primarily first and be able to attack. And they ended up playing me almost all my games. I would say 3/4 of them that season were in the midfield. And I had to accept that this was a new role, right? I had to change my mentality a little bit and be a little bit more ruthless, a little bit, I was going to put in the same defensive shift, but I needed to know moments when I needed to cheat up a little bit and when I needed to contribute in other ways. And so when I think about Timo Weah, your first step is like, the option is play or don't play, right? And you want to play. So you're going to play wherever, whether it's left back or right back. And then from there, figuring out how you can be impactful in your own way that feels stimulating and fulfilled, right? Because we've all done things in soccer. Actually, you spend a couple days a week sometimes doing stuff you don't necessarily love to do in order for the team to get better or for you to do the work that's going to prep you for the game. And so that's one where you almost have to, if you fight it, you'll never be a good right back, right? He'll never be there because you'll always be whatever. But if he finds his own hybrid version of that, that could be a use for the national team. It could be something where you're like, well, maybe he doesn't have the consistent final product, or maybe we've got a better player in form if it's Gio Reyna at some point, or we have some big star player that emerges. His next step could be, okay, well, if I want to be on the field, I need to find a way that I can be on the field. And that could be being really strong defensively, but also being a secondary attacker as a right fullback. And that could be worth a lot to the national team. It could be worth a lot to a lot of clubs as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of shouts in the comments, Heath, about Alphonso Davies, how he plays left back for Bayern Munich, but then for his national team, he plays more of a winger, sometimes even a striker. So yes, that would be a nice comparison.
He plays wherever he wants to play with the national team.
That's true. That's true.
Like,
yeah,
and for Bayern, they have the ball all the time. So he's kind of a winger already.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And defensively, you can tell that's not what he loves to do. It's not his first instinct, though. He's improved a lot defensively, and that's only going to make him a better player. To your point, right? Once you get a taste of another position and the asks of that particular position, and what I find interesting, and even when we coach, Heath, I'm sure we're kind of just saying this to a lot of our players, and we heard it ourselves for many years, that if you play a different position and you understand what the asks are of that particular position, especially if they're a little deeper and they're on your side of the field, so winger to outside back, then you now know how to maybe support that position. So when he does play wing for us, he'll probably be better at supporting the position or the player on the ball at the right back position, because he knows what's being asked and the timing could be a little bit better. So ultimately, I agree with your sentiments that it's just going to make him more well-rounded. I just wonder what that means for the national team, and how do we best position him to be as successful as possible while still trying to figure that out. And that's why these guys get paid millions of dollars to put that puzzle together.
Like Alphonso Davies, though, is a really good defender. He might not be the best defender, but he commits to defending.
He does now. I feel like he relied on his speed when he first got to Bayern. Like he just and he is faster. He obviously can read the game tremendously, but he didn't need to, because he could always, I'll catch up to the play. There's so much, you and I have been on this for a long time. There's been a lost art of defending, but yes, the first part of defending is just the willingness and the desire to want to do it. And he's added that to his game tenfold since he first.
But that's the difference between,
because he had to. Otherwise,
that's going to be the difference between him and Serginho Dest, of saying, if Serginho Dest is in form, then you want him on the field because of what he does going forward from the right back spot. But you're always going to trade that off which is, if he's up on the field, or if he's cheating forward, if he's that dynamic threat going forward, you are giving up something on the other end, which is defensively, either the space or his one-on-one defending. If Timo Weah can develop that side of his game and commit to being a really strong 1v1 or lockdown defender, again, it's not going to ever be his number one thing, but if he can do that, that could be the differentiator of when you start to roll out a roster come 2026. You go, well, do I go with the Timo Weah, who I know has a lot of these attributes, not as good as Serginho Dest on the ball, but can go forward and do a lot. Plus, I know that I can trust him defensively.
Yeah, I thought that Serginho Dest at the World Cup was probably as pragmatic, I don't know if that's the right word, as he's ever been, where he's really thoughtful about when he was going to join and when he was going to drop off. I will say, what must be, when I start to think about it, having him and Weah, Dest and Weah be on the same side of the field and knowing that they could interchange very comfortably. If, let's say, Dest bombs the forward, Weah could just drop in and be like, hey, I play this for my club team all the time. No problem to stay up there, because Dest is excellent. He has played winger for Barcelona. He has shown that for Ajax, and he's very comfortable in those spaces as well. To have two guys that are that interchangeable is pretty delicious, I'd like to say. I don't know if I'm picking all the right words today, but I'm going to go with delicious because that sounds pretty awesome.